There are places in and around our great cities where the natural world has all but disappeared. You can make out streets and sidewalks, autos, parking garages, advertising billboards, monuments of glass and steel, but not a tree or a blade of grass or any animal, besides, of course, the humans. There are lots of humans. Only when you look straight up through the skyscraper canyons can you make out a star or a patch of blue, reminders of what was there long before humans came to be. But the bright lights of the big cities bleach out the stars, and even that patch of blue is sometimes gone, tinted brown by industrial technology. It's not hard going to work every day in such a place to be impressed with ourselves, how we've transformed the earth for our benefit and convenience. But a few hundred miles up or down, there are no humans. Apart from a thin film of life at the very surface of the earth, an occasional intrepid spacecraft, and some radio static, our impact on the universe is nil. It knows nothing of us. What? I sometimes ask myself in amazement. Our ancestors walked from East Africa to Novaya Zemlya and Ayers Rock and Patagonia. They hunted elephants with stone spear points. They traversed the polar seas in open boats 7,000 years ago. They circumnavigated the earth propelled by nothing but wind. They walked the moon a decade after entering space. And we're daunted by a voyage to Mars? But then I remind myself of the avoidable human suffering on Earth, how a few dollars can save the life of a child dying of dehydration, how many children we could save for the cost of a trip to Mars, and for the moment, I change my mind. Is it unworthy to stay home, or unworthy to go? Or have I posed a false dichotomy? Isn't it possible to make a better life for everyone on Earth and to reach for the planets and the stars? We had an expansive run in the 60s and the 70s. You might have thought, as I did then, that our species would be on Mars before the century was over. But instead, we've pulled inward. Robots aside, we've backed off from the planets and the stars. I keep asking myself, is it a failure of nerve or a sign of maturity? Maybe it's the most we could reasonably have expected. In a way, it's amazing that it was possible at all. We sent 12 humans on week-long excursions to the moon, and we were given the resources to make a preliminary reconnaissance of the whole solar system, out to Neptune anyway. Missions that returned a wealth of data, but nothing of short-term, everyday, bread-on-the-table, practical value, or at least not much. They lifted the human spirit, though. They enlightened us about our place in the universe. It's easy to imagine skeins of historical causality in which there were no race to the moon and no planetary program. But it's also possible to imagine a much more serious devotion to exploration, because of which we would today have robot vehicles probing the atmospheres of all the Jovian planets and dozens of moons, comets, and asteroids. There were many possible historical paths. Our particular causality scheme has brought us to a modest and rudimentary, although in many respects heroic, series of explorations. But it is far inferior to what might have been, and what may one day be. In more than one respect, exploring the solar system and homesteading other worlds constitutes the beginning, much more than the end, of history.